This comes from Western Patriot think tank researcher. Breaking: federal agents shot an armed woman in Chicago's Brighton Park after cars rammed ICE and Border Patrol units today. She's in fair condition. DHS says it was part of a coordinated disruption, and it's still developing. Yeah, I guess there were up to 10 vehicles that were blocking ICE and Border Patrol. They were, of course, protesters, rioters, whatever the hell you want to call them. They're all the above. Obstructionists. And if you ask me, not enough of them were arrested. Every single last fucking one of them should have been arrested. Every last one of them. But didn't appear that they were. Looked like a couple of them were. And by a couple, it could have been a dozen, maybe a couple of dozen. Not sure, but I think everybody there should have been arrested. But that's just me. So here, I'll play this out. It's 46 seconds. I've actually got quite a few clips with regard to this. This actually looks like was filmed, or no, so this was released 6 hours ago, 3:13 p.m. Not sure about the whole nighttime background, because I'm pretty sure this happened in broad daylight, but here, I'll give this a listen.
So the governor saying that you
See if
guys
this has to do with
doing
it.
anything to make the community safer, what would you say in response to him?
You know, I don't think the governor has ever stepped foot near a Train de Aragua member or MS-13
Oh, you know he
member or
hasn't.
any other bad person or bad thing, so he probably wouldn't understand exactly what we're talking about. It might be way over
No, he
his
just
head.
understands how to
But
eat
don't
pasta
worry,
and get fucking
Governor
fat.
Pritzker, we've got it covered from here. And,
Governor Pizza.
This is just the beginning. Tonight's just the beginning, and we're going to roll on and on. We are going to turn and burn, Governor.
Turn
We're
and
going
burn,
from this one
motherfucker.
To the next, to the next, to
And
the
the next,
until
and
they
the next.
quit or are all deported and go home. And as far as him, he can either get on board or watch from the sidelines.
Oh, yeah, he watched from the sidelines, man. This is the federal fucking government you're fucking with, Governor Pritzker. You could try to obstruct all you want. You could try to play dirty games all you want, but you ain't stopping them. You're not going to stop the federal government. Unless you want to wage a second civil war. I mean, Democrats, they're the ones that started the first civil war. They're the ones that broke away from the Union. It was the Southern Democrats. They're the ones that did it. Read your history books. So they fired off the first Civil War, and they couldn't keep their slaves because the North won. The Republicans won the Civil War, and they had to give up their slaves. And they were very, very angry about that. So they decided to form up the Ku Klux Klan, which persisted for decades and decades. Again, read a history book. It's all the Southern fucking Democrats. Democrats. And if they want, I suppose, only the federal government's trying to hold everything together. If they want to fire off the second Civil War, I'm not saying that I'm all for that. I'm very much against that. I think that's definitely the last thing that our country needs right now, especially when we've got China right across the Pacific Ocean. They've been the second largest economy for quite a while, and they seem to be catching up to us, even though they've got a slew of problems on their own. I mean, their economy's been on pretty shaky ground basically the entire time. You know, they're building entire, like, these major cities that are just ghost cities to try to keep their economy, like, artificially, boosted, I guess. Anyway, yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. You know, we've already got enough chaos going on inside the country right now. The last thing we want is to physically tear each other apart, which would absolutely pave the way for foreign governments and foreign countries to really take over the world, maybe. Like the BRICS nations. That would not be good. Definitely would not be good. I think we would see a lot of external plays against us because we would be just too preoccupied dealing with our own bullshit, which I think a lot of this shit was started by China in the first place with fucking TikTok, man. TikTok did a lot of fucking damage to our culture. A lot of damage to the culture. Anything that was detrimental to American society, TikTok just seemed to algorithm all the way up to the very top, time and time and time again. And not only that, they were promoting people to do exactly what was the act of degeneracy. And by doing so, they were getting a lot of ad revenue, getting a lot of clicks, a lot of traffic, a lot of time. Yeah, and it's just not good at all. Anyway, whatever, man. I'm getting off subject with that. But this is from the New York Post. And it is U.S. Border Patrol agents shoot armed woman in Chicago after being boxed in by cars. So we've got a bit of footage here. Which, of course, the Chicago brain dead progressive assholes that are down here. Look, they know how to give the bird. They know how their middle finger works. Congratulations. Should I go back? I guess I'll go back. Why not? Let's full screen this. All this obstruction, man. This is all obstruction. If you're standing in a public roadway and federal agents, it doesn't matter if it's ICE, it doesn't matter who it is, if there's federal agents that are moving down a public roadway and there's civilians, citizens, residents that are blocking the roadway, that is obstructing. That's obstructing the official duties of federal agents. That comes with up to an 8-year federal prison sentence for obstruction. It carries up to 8 years in prison. So why they're not blanket arresting every last one of these people is beyond me. Of course, the ones who are standing on the sidewalk, probably not a lot you can do about that. Maybe you could arrest them for, I don't know, like civil unrest or some shit. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with all that. Yeah, because in a lot of areas, probably depends on a number of factors. But I've heard that if you want to protest anything, that you're supposed to take out a permit with the city, but maybe that only has to do with marches to where you're going to be occupying the open road or a large portion of sidewalks and things like that. If it's basically going to hinder the daily goings on of the public at large, then you're supposed to get a permit for that. However, things like this, when they're just standing on the sidewalk in a residential area, maybe there's not much they can do about that. But there looked to me like there were people out there in the road. Although maybe not, I don't know. What the fuck was that thing? Was that a drone? Well, they called it an ICE operation, didn't they? This doesn't look like it's at the ICE headquarters. Yeah, that's got to be a drone or something. Yeah, obviously it's a drone. I think it begs the question: how many of these people are being paid to be here? These quote unquote activists, these quote unquote protesters, the paid protesters. I bet the number is probably higher than you might think. I would venture to guess. Anyway, U.S. Border Patrol agents shot.
Good evening.
I'm
a parent.
Oh no. Okay, all right. Let's start that over again. U.S. Border Patrol agents shot an unarmed woman in Chicago Saturday after an angry mob tried to attack law enforcement officers. The group of agents were conducting the routine patrol near 39th Place and South Kedzie Avenue in the city's south side when they were attacked and rammed by vehicles and boxed in by 10 cars, the Department of Homeland Security said. Quote, the officers exited their trapped vehicle when a suspect tried to run them over, forcing the officers to fire defensively, unquote, according to DHS, which called the incident an evolving situation and noted FBI agents were currently on the scene. The suspect, who is a U.S. citizen, was armed with a semi-automatic weapon, department spokeswoman Tricia McLaughlin said. A little bit misleading because semi-automatic, that describes like 90% of guns out there, essentially. I mean, even a revolver is technically a semi-automatic weapon, isn't it? But I believe she had a handgun. It wasn't a rifle, wasn't an AR-15. I believe it was a handgun. So I don't know why they would have just said handgun. It would have been quicker, but I don't know, whatever. So the gun-toting woman was already known to the federal agency for allegedly publicly identifying agents and encouraging people to attack them, according to McLaughlin. Quote, the armed woman was named in a CBP intelligence bulletin last week for doxing agents and posting online, hey, to all my gang, let's fuck those motherfuckers up. Don't let them take anyone, McLaughlin wrote on X. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why ICE and other agents keep their masks on, because that's exactly what the left does. They engage in mass doxing. That is specifically what they do. They'll have their keyboard warriors that will troll all over the internet. They'll scour the internet and they will try to figure out a name that belongs to the face. And thanks to innovations in the AI sphere, I'm sure it's probably easier than ever to take just a face of someone and feed it through some AI software of some I don't even know, like some sort or whatever. But I'm sure that there's something out there where you can take somebody's face, feed it through AI, and it probably scours the internet to look for a match of that face, probably through even the likes of Facebook and other resources, and they can put a name to the face. Or maybe not. Maybe they just have to go about it the hard way. Maybe they just have to browse through just public records until they can find a match or something. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that's kind of the scary thing with AI, man. Like, just the amount of shit that it can do in such a short amount of time. It'll probably get down to the point where AI could probably even just take just the partial face, just the eyes and the nose, and be able to figure out who the hell you are. That'd be fucking crazy. So let's see. But anyway, more federal agents were sent to be deployed because of the incident. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem wrote on X. Today in Chicago, members of our brave law enforcement were attacked, rammed, and boxed in by 10 vehicles, including an attacker with a semi-automatic weapon. I'm deploying more special operations to control the scene. Reinforcements are on their way, she wrote. If you see a law enforcement officer today, thank them. And I've got all these posts too, already bookmarked. The armed woman, who was not immediately identified, drove herself to the hospital after the shooting to get care of her wounds, McLaughlin added. A spokesperson for the Chicago Fire Department told the Chicago Sun-Times the woman was later found and taken to a local hospital in stable condition. The fire department could not immediately be reached for comment. The time and location of the shooting weren't immediately clear. Thankfully, no law enforcement officers were seriously injured. Let's see, who then ripped the lefty Illinois governor for failing to help? Yeah, of course. Of course, that's what we're doing, or they're doing. Governor Pritzker's Chicago Police Department is leaving the shooting scene and refuses to assist us in securing the area. There is a crowd growing, and we are deploying special operations to control it. All right. A mob had gathered in the area to protest the shooting and were met with tear gas deployed by the federal agents, according to the Chicago Sun-Times. Latest violence comes after the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement last month launched Operation Midway Blitz, which we're all pretty well aware of by now, which they're targeting criminal illegal aliens who flocked to Chicago and Illinois because they knew they would be protected by the governor because it's a sanctuary state. Chicago's a sanctuary city inside a sanctuary state. And anyway, there's a little bit more of the article that you can read on, and I'll link it below if you want to check that out. So, also with regard to this incident in Chicago from Kim Katie USA, it's pure chaos in Chicago as people throw items at agents' vehicles as they leave the area where the woman rammed an ICE vehicle and was subsequently shot. So if you throw an item, yeah, I don't even think it even has to hit the agents. If you throw a projectile at them, that comes with up to a 20-year federal prison sentence. Up to 20. So, I don't know, man. With all these cops here, all these agents, maybe people weren't lobbing stuff at them when there was that heavily of a law enforcement presence, maybe. But I would think that if one single person steps out of line, they'd immediately snatch them up. That's what they really should be doing. At least that's what President Trump, Secretary Kristi Noem, like even Kash Patel, Pamela Bondi, the Attorney General, all these people, they're telling us that they're sending in the cavalry. They're sending in hundreds of armed guards and agents, military. They're sending all these people in, and they're going to absolutely just lock shit down. But yet, whenever we see this footage, there's hundreds of protesters out there, and nothing's really happening to them at all. They're just kind of just there, just starting shit and blocking shit and just causing mayhem. Anyway, let's take a watch at this. About 21 seconds.
Por ahí andan las noticias que según quieren deportar a toda la raza trabajadora y les hicimos este corrido, compa Kevin.
All right, I don't understand the whole music thing. It's kind of hilarious, I guess. Americano. I understood that word. All right, this one's from Rapid Report. Breaking Chicago woman shot by ICE and CBP after blocking agents with her car and being armed with a semi-automatic weapon. Protesters rapidly gathering on scene. Another angle. And again, this was today. Just 7 seconds. That was a quick one. That was posted 7 hours ago, around 2:29 p.m. So maybe this was like maybe somewhere around noonish, maybe 1 o'clock. And by that, I mean Eastern time. I'm Chicago Central time, though, right? Derek Evans, breaking. Federal agents just shot a woman outside the ICE facility. Chicago, she was armed with a handgun and was in one of multiple vehicles ramming ICE and Border Patrol agents What did she think was going to happen? She was hitting agents with a car and had a gun. Look, I've been trying to find footage of this incident, of her actually ramming them with her car. I can't find it. There's got to be somebody out there with that footage. I mean, these protesters are all filming this shit. Of course they are. I mean, dude, they're all out in the fucking road, man. They're all out in the road. 8 years, man. 8 fucking years. And they're doing nothing. Maybe, I guess technically, maybe it's because the agents are not turning right. They're not heading down that way. Instead, they're just going straight. So perhaps maybe they're not technically, impeding the duties of the federal agents, or they're not obstructing them, I guess. Even though it's still against the law to be blocking a public roadway. But who knows? Maybe it's not in Chicago. I don't know. I know it certainly is here in Florida. I know if there's protesters that block a road, and if you're in your vehicle and they stop your vehicle by standing in the middle of the road, if they lay a finger on your vehicle, you can run them the hell over. I know that's a thing here. That's why we don't get protesters in the middle of the street in the state of Florida. Because they'll get run the fuck over. And the driver won't be charged. Just make sure you have a dash cam. Look, if you don't have a dash cam by now in the year of 2025, I have no idea why you don't. They're so cheap at this point. If you patronize Amazon, you can get one on Amazon for like $20 at this point, and it records in 1080p quality. You might even be able to find 4K quality dash cams for under $50 by now. Definitely get a dash cam. Not only get one that records in high quality, but also make sure that you get one that's good with night vision. They sell them in infrared. They also sell more like enhanced night vision technology. You can go up to like, I don't know, $100, maybe $150 and get a really nice one. The one I currently have, I think I paid like $70 for it about 2 years ago. I'm still using it, still works perfectly fine. And that's after, day after day of the hot sun, just blasting my car all day, every day, and it still works perfectly fine. It's not been sun damaged or anything like that. Records really good quality. It's definitely something that you need in this day and age because you just never fucking know. You absolutely just don't know. I mean, somebody just sitting in front of you in traffic might back into you and then accuse you of hitting them. It could be just something as stupid as that. But yeah, dude, get a dash cam if you don't have one. Like seriously, get a dash cam. Anyway, this is from Benny Johnson. At the site of today's terror attack on federal agents, Chicago left-wing extremists are now waving Mexican flags and harassing law enforcement. Chicago PD under Governor J.B. Pritzker fled, refusing to help agents secure the area. It's hilarious that they're waving Mexican flags, but they fled Mexico to come to the United States, but they're waving Mexico flags. That really doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. If you hate the American flag and you're flying the Mexican flag, why the hell do you have a problem with them rounding you up and sending you back to Mexico? I mean, you're cheering on Mexico. If you want to make America Mexico, why the fuck did you leave Mexico in the first place, dumbass? Let's take a look at this. On TikTok? Oh, no sound, huh? No sound? All right. I guess no sound. Here, I'll add some sound. Oh, yeah! All right. Enough of that. Yeah, no sound, though. I mean, nothing really... They're not really doing anything. They're just blocking the road. And they've got this stupid crime scene tape up, or caution tape. Fucking arrest them, man. Arrest them. They're obstructing. Arrest them. Give them 8 years. Of course, it'd be up to the judge. Probably a left-wing judge. That would only be everyone's luck. And this one, Eric Daugherty. Chaos is erupting in Chicago after the terror attack on federal agents. Chicago police are now on scene. Several insurgents were seen waving Mexican flags. Start arresting. The crowd will disperse. Yeah, they will. So the Chicago police are here. They're here on scene. So I don't know if maybe there weren't enough feds that were there yet. Maybe when the feds rolled in, that's just when they decided to bail. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, you know the Chicago cops, they're not going to do shit. I mean, hell, their mayor, the elected officials, they're encouraging this shit. And they are. They're absolutely encouraging this. The fucking rabble, man. The brainwashed lunatics. Brain bleached. Fucking lunatics. And what's hilarious is a lot of these people, they cry online and they freak out on the internet about how they can't find a job anywhere, and they're freaking out about their rent costing double what it cost a few years ago without even realizing that, by and large, it's because of illegal immigration. They got to work somewhere. They got to live somewhere. And the reason your utilities are going up is because they got to use electricity too. They got to use water too. All those other things that you have to pay for, illegal immigrants are tapped into it now too. And our system wasn't prepared to take in 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 million people in a very short amount of time. That's why everything got more expensive. But these people are freaking out about how all these illegal immigrants should just stay here and not be fucked with, despite the fact that ICE and all of them, they're not taking your everyday illegal immigrant that snuck in. They're going after the most ruthless criminals. That's who they've been going after all year. They're not going after just the everyday mom and pop illegal immigrant. Not yet. I'm sure they're going to get there. But right now, they're trying to get the ones that have been in Latin American prisons because they emptied out the prisons across Latin America and sent them all up here to the U.S. That's why you keep hearing about these people who are getting arrested and deported by ICE. Like, virtually 100% of them have some horrific criminal record already, most of which were committed after they got here in the U.S. And then you got these brain-dead retards that are out here just insisting that ICE go away and leave them alone. Leave them alone. They're just human beings. It's absolutely fucking mind-boggling that you want these people to stay in your community and keep, what, wreaking havoc? Keep committing the crimes that they've been committing, peddling drugs, manufacturing drugs, because a lot of the fentanyl is now being manufactured inside the United States. Yeah, they're still smuggling in a lot of it. That's already been made, but they're trying to get around a lot of the customs and by importing the precursor materials, and then they manufacture them inside the country. But again, a lot of these people, they're just getting paid to be here. And a lot of other people, they just want the chaos. They want the unrest. They hate cops because they just hate cops. You know, they used to listen to, like, you know, Ice Cube, fuck the police and all that shit. Just their mentality. They just don't like cops in general. This dude loves to run his fucking mouth, but if he goes toe-to-toe against one of those cops, he's gonna get his fucking ass beat. That cop's gonna slap his glasses right off before he fucking throws his ass down on the ground and cuffs him. All right, let's do the next one. Actually, hold on a second. I'm gonna put a pause on that. Let's see what else I got here. I think I got something else. Is it over here? Federal agents ambushed near Chicago ICE facility. A woman wounded in a shooting. Federal agents Broadview, Illinois were rammed and boxed by 10 vehicles during routine patrols outside an ICE processing center on Saturday morning. Leading Border Patrol to shoot and wound a woman who brandished a semi-automatic weapon after ramming their vehicle. The clash heightens tensions from the weeks of protests against Operation Midway Blitz, which has led to over 800 immigration arrests in the Chicago area. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem deployed reinforcements and special operations teams, while President Trump ordered the federalization of 300 National Guard troops for deployment in Chicago. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker condemned the move as a violation of states' rights. Well, dude, get your shit under control, man. You gotta get your shit under control. You're letting lawlessness just persist. You're just letting it go on and go on. Anyway, this is from News Nation. I'll hear their take.
Is a similar scene in Chicago. Violence escalating between protesters and ICE agents here. A woman was shot after she allegedly attempted to hit federal officers with her car. Then in Broadview, Illinois.
Are you sure that was her, though? I don't think that was the woman who was shot.
The Department of Homeland Security is reporting that law enforcement
because I think she drove off, right? She drove off, and they found her later.
By 10 cars. That's where
I don't even think that's a lady.
Mills Hayes.
I think that's a man.
Mills, what are you seeing out there today?
A lot of assholes.
Hi, Kelly.
A lot of retards.
There are more protesters that have started to come here.
I mean, look at this. Like, these are the kind of people that they got to deal with. Like, fucking coloring on the ground. That's how childish a lot of these fucking idiots are. They go out there and they're coloring with sidewalk chalk. They're gonna make a pretty fuck ICE picture with little rainbow colors, and it's gonna be so adorable. It's gonna be so amazing. I think you could just take a fucking a bucket of soapy water and just throw it on it, and it'll be gone in like 5 seconds.
This Broadview ICE facility, we know there's
Although
some
she's
more
probably
activity.
using real paint.
Also,
She
where
probably
that
is.
woman was shot, you mentioned that. Now,
Or
we
not.
also
No,
know that
no, I
Illinois
think she's
Governor
actually using
J.B.
sidewalk
Pritzker
chalk.
says that President Trump
Hilarious.
plans to federalize 100 Illinois National Guard troops to help protect ICE personnel and facilities. We expect this crowd here at the
Grown-ass
Broadview
children.
ICE facility to
Just
grow throughout the
fucking
night.
children.
Now,
Coloring.
meanwhile, DHS is speaking out after a woman was shot by federal law enforcement officers after allegedly trying to ram Border Patrol agents with her car. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem posting on X saying, quote, members of our brave law enforcement were attacked, rammed, and boxed in by 10 vehicles, including an attacker with a semi-automatic weapon, adding that she is deploying more special operations to control the scene. The FBI is investigating, and the woman is in critical condition at the hospital. Protesters responding.
Did you see that? Again, another case of obstruction. They're all standing here blocking the road. The vehicles are right here. I'm sure they're eventually trying to get through this road. They should be arresting every single one of them, but they're not. For some reason, they're not. They're not arresting all these people, and they need to. The public keeps telling them to get arrest them. I just don't understand why they're not.
Critical condition at the hospital. Protesters responding nearby.
And by the way, man, those 10 vehicles that were blocking them, what do you think? Like, should they have opened fire on them? Especially if one of those vehicles actually struck a federal agent's vehicle or any one of their vehicles, even this big-ass Bearcat. If it was hit by a vehicle, why wouldn't they have opened fire on them? Because now it's assault with a deadly weapon. I just don't get it. If you're not going to use, if you're not going to upgrade the amount of force that you're using, they're not going to learn their lesson. They're just going to keep showing up. Now, I'm not saying that they should just open fire and start mowing down, dozens of people. No, I mean, that's obviously not going to have a good look. But I don't know, man. It just kind of begs the question. Why aren't they enforcing more heavily?
One woman saying her
Arrest
son,
them.
who is a U.S. citizen, was detained earlier today by immigration officials. All of this happening after Secretary Noem's visit to the Broadview ICE facility where protests
that really pissed him off.
She
went up there yesterday.
From the press. Border Patrol Commander at Large Gregory Bovino leading the arrest outside the facility on Friday. DHS says that 13, quote, rioters were arrested during the standoff, with Illinois State Police joining federal law enforcement officers in trying to keep protesters back. Meanwhile, Operation Midway
most of these people show up because they got nothing better to do.
This
just something to do. They want to be a part of history.
Federal law enforcement
They just want to be down in the chaos, just to be in a part, just to be a part of it.
The activists tried to impede ICE vehicles. A similar situation outside a local hospital where tear gas was deployed while protesters tried to block law enforcement vehicles. Chicago alderperson Jesse
arrest every
Fuentes
one of them, but they're not.
Put in handcuffs at that hospital after trying to get more
It looks like they got a couple of them. Those are probably the ones that were throwing shit at them
during an arrest and at the hospital. Protesters saying that there is no need for the National Guard.
We're here today because we don't know what else to do. I mean, what's happening in this country is insane. I heard just this morning, first thing, of a father of a student in my children's school district being kidnapped by ICE and taken. I don't know all the details,
lady, you're fucking
but this
retarded.
is affecting communities. It's affecting everyone.
It's also affecting your local job market and your renters market, you moron.
They confirmed to me that there were federal law enforcement immigration officers near an elementary school in Logan Square neighborhood just yesterday, and they continue to say that the safest place for students and staff is still at school despite that activity around the school there, Kelly.
All right, Mills Hayes will be checking
they're not going
back in,
into
Mills.
schools.
Thank you.
They've already been very clear about that. Been very clear about that. They're not going into schools, and they're not even standing around the vicinity of schools. They're not snatching up kids that were brought into the country illegally. They're not doing that. Fucking idiots. It's not happening.